Hello, my name's John Price, and this is one of a series of video clips about competitive bidding in bridge. I will look at a number of sample hands, and here's the first one. Let's have a closer look. Now this hand would bring dread to most bridge players. At first sight it looks good. You have 6 points in spades, 4 in hearts, that's 10, and another 3 in clubs. This is a 13-point hand, that's above average, and you'd like to do something with this hand. But if you had to open this hand, then you'd have to make a dreadful decision. In some way, you'd have to tell a lie. If, for example, you were using ACOL bidding, then you'd first think, could I bid 1 no trump? That's a weak no trump. No, because you have that singleton 8 of diamonds. But what if I open one of a suit and then rebid a second of my 3 possible suits? Well, that would be telling a lie. I'd be saying I've got 4 of the second suit and 5 of the first one, and I don't have that either. This is the dreaded 4-4-4-1 hand that most bridge players hate to see. But the problem is opening this hand, and that's not what's going to happen here. In this case, what has happened is your opponent, North, has opened themselves, and they have bid 1 diamond. So it's back to you now. Now, because one of the opponents has opened, then if you bid now, you won't be an opener. You will be an overcaller. In other words, you're going to try and get into the bidding now, but this will be part of what's called competitive bidding. And in this case, both the opponents and yourselves are going to dispute the bidding of the contract. And you're both going to try and see if you can win the contract. But what do you do? In this case, with this particular hand, you have a wonderful bid that you can make. The opponents have opened 1 diamond. If you say at this point, double, it does not mean I want to have penalties from you because I don't think you can make 1 diamond. For goodness sake, doubling at the 1 level would be a very, very risky maneuver, even if you had a wonderfully big hand. It's saying something different. It's an artificial bid. Although doubling is normally to try and get penalties when you bring the opponents down, that's its natural meaning. In this case, it's an artificial bid, which tells you something else. Now, this little artificial bid was invented very soon after the game of bridge was developed. And it means this: partner, I have also got an opening hand of 12 points or more. But I've also got a hand where I haven't got many diamonds at all, 2 at the very most. In this case, it's just a singleton. But partner, I don't mind if we were in a contract in any of the other suits. And it tells partner, bid something. Don't leave me in 1 diamond doubled, because it doesn't mean that. Bid any suit. Now that's a great bid for this example hand here. you have the perfect hand for what's called a take-out double. You have 4 of both the spades, the hearts and the clubs. So when partner replies with a suit, then you're happy. Any suit other than diamonds. And that's the principle. You've told your partner about your hand, and then you see what happens. Let's look at another example. Okay. Well, it's another good hand. It's another hand that you could open on. It's got 9 points in hearts, 4 in diamonds. This is a 13-point hand. It's also got a no-trump shape. This would be ideal if you were bidding in ACOL to bid a weak 1 no-trump, but only if you get the opportunity to open. But in this case, North has beaten you to it. North was the dealer, and North has opened, and North has bid 1 club. Now you can't overcall 1 no trump. That has a different meaning. In this case, you want to make a bid. You want to compete with your opponents to try and get the contract, because North may have a good hand, but you've got a good hand as well, and you like to tell your partner about that. But what do? Well, you can't be the opener. North is the one that's opened. All you can do now is overcall in some way to tell your partner that we need to compete for this contract. But because your opponents have bid 1 club, you have the ideal bid for this particular hand. What would you would tell partner, you would make the bid double. Again, I repeat, what we're doing here is something called a takeout double. You are not saying, partner, we can make penalties by putting the opponent down in a club contract. In fact, it means the reverse of that. It's saying, partner, I have very few clubs, at most 2, which you have in this case. But I've got an opening hand, and I can support all the other 3 suits. I can support diamonds, I can support hearts, and I can even support spades, though I'm hoping that my partner, when he bids, will bid hearts or diamonds. But if he bids spades, I've still got 3 spades to support him. And that is what this bid means. When you do a takeout double, you're saying, I haven't got many of the suit that's bid and been doubled, but I can support the other 3 suits. With that information, your partner will progress if they can. It all depends on what the next player does. That's South. If South passes, then your partner will make a bid of one of the other 3 suits. Even if they've got 0 points, they are forced to take you out of this double. That's why it's called a takeout double. And bid one of the other 3 suits. Hopefully, your partner will bid their longest suit, and then you can leave it where it is. If South chooses not to leave things, but to carry on bidding, then West can do what he wishes. He can pass, or he could move on with the information that you've given him. You've done your job. You've passed on the information about your hand. One last example. Let's have a closer look. It has 2 in spades, 4 points in hearts, that's 6, and another 7 in diamonds, that's a 13-point hand. And 2 lovely 5-card suits. Perhaps you could award yourself 1 extra point for each of those, a 5th spade and a 5th diamond. This is a nice hand. And I think you would be desperate to want to open with this hand. But again, the opponents have beaten you to it. The opponent on your right, that's north, has opened. And they have opened 1 club. Now what do? You think you know what to do. You just have that singleton club, and you can support the other suits, so you are tempted to make a take-out double. No, in this case, you do have very few clubs, and you do have an opening hand of 13 points. But the one thing that you don't have is support in hearts. I can see the ace of hearts there, but an ace and 1 other is not support for your partner. So if you were tempted to make a take-out double in this case, you could go horribly wrong. Let's face it, if your partner has to bid, what's the suit that he's bound to choose? It ain't going to be diamonds, and I bet you it's not going to be spades. It'll be the dreaded heart reply, and that's the one suit that you really couldn't support. So in this case, you're going to have to think of something else, but don't use a take-out double. Thank you for listening.